strengthen. Breastfeeding. It's a big one for some people. How long should a person breastfeed? Should a woman breastfeed? I can't get the milk in, whatever. Again, some of those same xenoestrogen issues often come up with breast milk. And so we're suggesting women not to drink things in plastic bottles to a degree. Not only will it slop over into the baby, sometimes it can throw off the breast milk for whatever reason. Probably the herb that I have found to be by far the best in this area is milk thistle. It's its archetype for this. By being able to work with blessed thistle. Is that what I said?
You said milk thistle.
Oh, yes, that's a... Actually, milk thistle will help. But it's not milk thistle. I really meant blessed thistle. Thank you. Blessed thistle will work as a mini milk thistle, and milk thistle will work as a mini blessed thistle, but blessed thistle is the one to work with here. It really does help the breast milk. I've had situations where women who've even wet nursed for other babies, they have their own baby and they've wet nursed because someone's going on vacation for a few days, and they've literally produced so much milk that the two babies couldn't be able to hold up for it. Everybody's different. So the dosage is independent. I'll have some women who will plow back so much milk thistle in capsules and teas and tinctures and it won't help at all. I'll have some women, they take one capsule and oh my God, for a week they're just like a cow. They're producing more than they need to. So you have to look at the various things. Other herbs beside blessed thistle that are fairly good is goat's rue. Fennel and fenugreek, both have been able to do. And a lot of people say it sweetens the milk up, but I find that the breast milk is already quite sweet, so you don't need to sweeten it up. Vitex, vervain, nettles. Nettles is particularly good if we find the woman is somewhat demineralized. Especially if a woman's had a hard delivery and is slightly malnourished in the first place, we can have lack of milk because of lack of minerals. Nettles is particularly good there. And I'm a strong proponent in the last part of delivery, and especially with the delivery and when trying to bring in milk, to have a lot of bone soup. The bone soup is heavily traditional in most cultures, especially in Chinese cultures, Oriental cultures. Almost always there'd be some kind of bone soup. Usually it's chicken bones, so it's usually chicken bones and a chicken egg pierced 100 times, baked in a thing with a black plum and sometimes a black egg. The phoenix eggs, the black-haired chicken, would be the strongest, and dong quai. That would almost always be given right after the delivery. It will fortify the whole thing. Yes?
Can you use horsetail as well?
Horsetail will mineralize to a degree, but you can understand that horsetail is also quite diuretic. And because it's quite diuretic, it's going to bring some of the flow out through the urinary tract. Not a problem if there's enough milk, but it won't really necessarily fortify the milk directly. But it is highly mineralized. One of the things that we found to be the most useful is to really help readjust the female formula. There's a very, very famous formula in China called Dong Quai Chin. And Dong Quai Chin, of course, its major ingredient is angelica or dong quai. Even though you will find in some reports not to use dong quai during pregnancy, we've even written it here. In Canada, it's against the law, theoretically, to give a pregnant woman dong quai. In China, they've done it for millennia. There's a myth in China that says if you give a pregnant woman dong quai, she'll have a female child. If you give them ginseng, she'll have a male child. Now that's completely different than the way I understand genetics, so I can't really go there, but the point is that literally hundreds of millions of women over the years have probably taken dong quai during pregnancy without any deleterious effect. But dong quai is particularly good for around 6 weeks after delivering a child. Not only does it bring the woman's figure back into place, it'll really help the menstrual flow come back in, it'll help the heavy-duty bleeding, it'll fortify them and bring in good, healthy milk. So you do not have to worry about dong quai or Angelica sinensis during that first period of time. I'll catch you in a second. I almost always give my patients 2 capsules or 2 tablets twice daily of FEMA herb for 6 weeks, and this Dong Quai Chin, we usually use it either in tablet form or liquid form for about 3 weeks. The liquid form seems to work better than the tablet form, but sometimes I can't get the liquid form and I get the tablet form. It's kind of a interesting syrup. That it's kind of a thick syrupy type material, or kind of a thin syrup, I would have to say. And when you take it, for most people, it's semi-disgusting. But a woman who's just delivered a child, they'll almost want to overdo it because they crave it. They absolutely love it. It especially works really well with one of the fake coffee substitutes. So something like, Inca, Cargo, or Bamboo, or Caracas, these kinds of various, and even dandelion root. If you mix it with that, it doesn't taste very good with real coffee, but it really tastes good with the coffee substitutes. And I've had women who have almost wanted to drink a whole bottle because it tastes so good, even though other people might not like it. So the body will tend to know in those situations. This is not only useful for the fortifying of the uterus, it also stops postnatal blues to a degree. And postnatal blues can be a really big phenomenon, or it's very common for women's hair to start falling out at 11 months. Of course, that's what happened to me. I've had 4 kids, and therefore I have no hair. I just didn't take the right Dong Quai, or the phenomenon, and that's what happened. But it will really help readjust the hormones so you're not going to have these hormone anomalies and give more nutrients. There was a question when I was going through that? Yes, Donna?
You were talking about the Dong Quai for bringing back your menstrual cycle when you're breastfeeding, but generally speaking, women do not.
Sorry, misunderstood, or I said it improperly.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm saying that sometimes they have heavy flow after delivery. It's going to stop that heavy hemorrhaging or paturation. If it's really excessive, and I've had some women who ended up having prolapsed uteruses that are sticking out, and bowel bleeding. I've had people who had really, really major colitis happen after delivering the child because it's so downward moving. One of the best herbs for that is astragalus. Astragalus will really fortify the system, refortify the uterus, and refortify the intestinal tract for that if it's too excessive. Also, so we're not. I didn't mean bring the menses on. I mean regulate the flow. And usually menses will start anywhere from 3 months to a year. It's different with different women. So taking the Dong Quai will regulate the menses so it would come at a proper time. I want to be 3 to 6 to 12 months later, depending on what the situation is for the individual. I want to be really specific here. There is a folklore out there that believes as long as you're breastfeeding, you can't get pregnant. Not. You still can. A lot of people believe if they're breastfeeding, they won't have a menstrual cycle. Not. So they really are not dynamically connected.
No, but generally, what is the reasoning for not having a menstrual cycle when you're breastfeeding?
One of the reasons of not having a menstrual cycle while you're breastfeeding is simply because of the amount of minerals you're already using in the breast milk. So it is indicating slight malnourishment at the mineral level. So again, one of my favorite standbys for this is the bone soups. If a woman's taking a lot of bone soups, and when I'm talking about bone soup, you're not eating the bones, it's just making a stock broth. May it be chicken, may it be fish, may it be turkey, may it be beef, may it be pork, I don't care. Oxtail soup comes to mind, especially in the middle of the winter, to refortify this whole area. So usually it's a nutrient thing. Of course, it could be a slight hormonal thing. Postpartum blues is also a hormonal mineral thing, but it's often a little bit more oil thing. It can be number of hours of light, and it can just be overwhelming. So there's psychological aspects to it, there's hormonal aspects and nutritional aspects of it. So one of the first things I do, if I've done the Dong Quai Chin and or the FEMA herb, the probability of getting postpartum blues is really, really low. But it does happen. Sometimes we need light therapy, light books, trip to Hawaii, no. But various other mechanisms to be able to refortify the individual. Sometimes B6 is really necessary, but oils are almost always necessary. We found that vitamin D3 is particularly useful in this case. And again, I don't have any problem with a pregnant mother, or sorry, a breastfeeding mother taking 3,000 to 4,000 international units of vitamin D. It'll fortify the milk. It'll also fortify the ability to be able to take the calcium in from the environment and be able to get the minerals in there. It can be a real dramatic thing. There are situations where we've had to also go into the flower essences, and we leave that as an individual by individual question.